we've made it so complex, and I mean just the industry we're in, everything, there's so much jargon and everything that people have to hear, and if it's not your core competency, it's like, oh, it's like asking me how a computer works. Like if I had to start, I just shut down and not talk about it. Fearless Money Talks with Kelli and Brian.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today on our first podcast for Fearless Money Talks. We are here to talk about, I don't know, Brian, what are we here to talk about?
It's your favorite topic.
Well, I'm dangerous in the fact that I grew up in the financial world, but definitely don't want to go too technical or too boring on some of these topics. But I think we're trying to break it down so people get a good understanding of how to plan for their now and in their future, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Brian, I just was wondering, obviously money is a hard topic to talk about. Why do you think that is? Obviously, you've been an advisor for years. What are some of the reasons that they're having such a hard time talking about it?
So one is, the fear of feeling stupid. I mean, other people think you're stupid, even though that might not be your expertise. But if you think about it, money is like at the core. It's a core tool to live your daily life. And some people have a lot of it. Some people don't have a lot of it. And there's a lot of different circumstances that go into it. But
don't you think the history too? Like, obviously how you were raised, how you grew up, that obviously affects how you think about and how willing you are to talk about money.
That's right. And a lot of people, at least in the path that I have with advising clients, a lot of the time I hear people say, my mom and dad never talked about it in front of me. It was a closed door discussion, it was always the case, or not always the case, but a common case. My dad just did it. Mm-hmm. And my mom never had to do anything until he died. Like that seems to be like a very common theme. And so eventually, like when they were grown adults, 40s, 50s, and their mom's left alone and she comes to them, that's like possibly the first time they ever knew what their parents did. So it's just kind of like these closed door discussions.
Do you think that's like an older thing, or do you think that's still the case like nowadays, or do you feel like people are more open about it? Because I tend to see people be more open about talking about money now, but I'm just curious if you've noticed that.
Yeah, it has changed, and a lot more people want their kids to understand it to a degree. It's always hard. We're both parents, and so when you tell your kids like you need to pay attention and do this, like how often are they going to take your advice?
Yeah, or you get the follow-up question, and I'm like, were you even listening to me?
No. So like I'll talk to my kids about it to a degree. And they're just like, huh? Like, what do you, like, why do you go to work every day? Like, people can't just, like, deal with this on their own.
Yeah.
So, the part about feeling stupid is we've made it so complex. And I mean, just the industry we're in, everything, there's so much jargon and everything that people have to hear. And if it's not your core competency, it's like, oh. It's like asking me how a computer works. Like if I had to start, I just shut down and not talk about it. But it's kind of like, it's just something that people aren't trained in. I think back, I don't think there was ever a class like I ever took that taught you about money in a sense of like personal finance. Like you just jumped right into corporate finance and I was like, okay, understand what it is. But, it's also a very sensitive resource in the sense that it's a tool. Some people treat it the wrong way. They hoard it, or they
overspend,
or they do things that are wrong to get more of it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of like the problem that people have is they're like, I don't want to tell anybody about this because it's like, are they going to take advantage of me?
Yeah. Well, I think it's sensitive. I think that when people know that you have more money, then that becomes an issue. Or if you feel like insecure about not having enough, I think that could be an issue too. I've seen it like throughout. I have a very large family. Obviously, my husband was raised very differently than I was. So seeing the differences in how I think about money versus how he thinks about it, and kind of his experience has been very interesting. Because you don't know until you get exposed to a different point of view. Mm-hmm. Why do you think spouses don't talk about money?
American Express.
American Express. That's a
I don't
big
know.
statement.
The credit card bill. I don't know. They don't want to talk about it because when the credit card bill shows up, they're like, who did this?
Well, because two different people have different ideas of what they should be spending or what they should be budgeting or what.
Right. So people have different feelings. Like money's emotional. They have different feelings about what the tool is. So some view it as, hey, I have it today. Tomorrow's not a guarantee for me. Mm-hmm. I want to live the best life I can now. Other people were taught, like, you save everything and you sacrifice and you don't do anything fun, or you just put your head down and grind until you've accumulated enough, and then you might be okay. And so married couples, right? You end up with different points of view. Usually that's what attracts you to each other.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
opposites attract.
If I married myself, I would probably hurt myself. But it's just a different perspective. And sometimes it's like with balance, you could get somebody that's very extreme. Like, I'm not going to spend anything. I'm just going to live very, very below my means. And then they get together with somebody that's used to either spending at their means or possibly above. And sometimes you can marry the two of those together, and the person that was not having as much fun has a little bit more fun. Person that was having too much fun doesn't end up in financial ruin.
Yeah, because usually there's someone that's handling the finances, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that it used to always be, it seems like, in the male, and mm-hmm. It seems like that's starting to change.
Yeah.
Curious what your thoughts are on that.
It's whoever wants to do it. At the end of the day,
I don't know if that's true.
Or whoever has at least a little desire to do it. No one.
I don't think so at all.
Oh, whoever buries their head first in the sand.
I think it's whoever is the more organized, probably driving everything. So,
also the things that I've seen, it's just, when you have those moments of surprise and somebody has done something wrong, like that surprises the other person, it becomes a heated debate. Like, why'd you do this? Like, now the blame's getting cast on you. So
I'm not the only spouse that gets the American Express alert that's like, what did you just spend? What did you buy?
Yeah.
Asking my husband.
And he's sitting there. He's like, man, I can't even go buy shoes now.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so, no, that's our household too.
So how do you suggest, like, obviously there's always kind of that unengaged, what they call the unengaged spouse, the spouse that isn't as involved in the finances. Like, have you seen successful ways to like integrate them or have them having those discussions so they have a say?
When I was primarily doing like financial advice and working with couples on this, that was always probably number one or number two, the hardest thing about the job. Was like, you knew, like, it was the easy path was always just to engage the one person that was either working with you or the person that hired you. And it's like, well, how do I kind of get the other person engaged? And
especially because they're like hands off. I do not want to talk to you.
They don't want to talk about it. So, I've tried to find humor to like get them to come to meetings, like stuff like you just try anything you can. And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it's just like, you're not going to get anywhere. And it's like, okay, maybe there's going to be an event down the road that will re-engage and they'll know, hey, we're here. We're the resource for you. But, I've tried everything I think under the sun to try to engage people, but humor is usually it. Like, hey, we're going to talk about like something completely different from finance today. And they're like, you're a liar. But sometimes it's just like, we all get caught in this. It's like we know so much about what we're doing that we get caught in our own world and we say things, and it's like you don't realize that when you're talking to people that technically, you might feel smart when you're talking, but you're damaging them on the other side because they're like, okay, great, you got this. I'm never coming to a meeting with you again.
Especially because all they want to know is, like, maybe, am I going to be okay? Do I have enough money? They don't want to know all the details behind it. Yeah. And I know sometimes we get in trouble with that because we go too detailed, and it's like, you lost me like 20 minutes ago when all I wanted to know was, hey, can I take my nice vacation this year? Or, hey, are we going to be okay? And I know we're okay.
So I have my upbringing that I always saw, and it was my dad that always did like the budget worksheets and all the stuff, and he like had Excel when it was probably Lotus 1, 2, 3 at the time. And to this day, like, I still work with them. I'm allowed to talk about that. They've given me permission. But the running joke when I talk to them about their money is my mom just wants to see a certain number in her checking account. Everything else doesn't, like,
she doesn't care about anything
She's like,
else.
What's in the checking account? If I see that number there, like, we're fine. Okay. And I'm like, you don't worry about no, that's why you're here. And I'm like, no, that's not, you need to know where everything is.
Yeah.
That's how she's always just run it. As long as the checking account is full, we're okay.
I feel like every client has their thing that they're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Well, why don't we talk a little bit about who we are and why we're here today?
Well, I definitely did not want to be in the financial industry, but I'm here 18 years later. I've been with the firm for a little over 18 years and have literally grown up here, graduated from college, sold some wine, and then was recruited by JC back in the day. He's been my boss for 18 years, and I've really created my position here because I don't like the technical stuff. I like more of the softer things and getting to know people on a personal level. So that's a little bit about how I got here.
Yeah, you actually have done almost every job here except for a few. So
pretty much worked with every advisor here at the firm, worked with pretty much every individual.
So you have a lot of scar tissue.
Lots of scar tissue. Did a lot of training, mentoring. Yeah. But yeah, so you started a little before me, but kind of a similar background.
I know, 19 years. So it was 1 year ahead of you. I'll always be ahead of you, hopefully. So 19 years. So I was originally not in this business. I started out in defense with Northrop Grumman and was working there for a while, went and got my MBA. And we had some turn of events with HH that opened up some positions, but you probably remember this. Back when we started this firm, we had to start from the bottom. Like, there was no like coming in at a certain job level. Like, they wanted us to learn the bottom up here.
Yeah.
JC
tricked us.
JC tricked us, and the funny thing that I always credit him with is he interviewed me, and I never knew what job I was interviewing for. Like, he just was like, we have 2 positions open. Now, if he put me in the right one eventually, but if he put me in the other one, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you today because it was in IT. And you know my struggles with certain things. So.
And your patience level.
And my patience level. So I go from 0 to mad in about 3 seconds. So I would not be good in a call center helping people troubleshoot their iPhones. But.
You'd be slamming your phone down.
Mm-hmm. But what it actually started with my dad, because when he retired, they were just disciplined savers. They would always just like kind of do the right thing, save money. And eventually when he got to the point where he retired, he walked over to the neighbor across the street who is a local CPA here. And I actually mowed the guy's lawn in high school. So he paid me to mow his lawn and do his yard work and all that. And he told my dad to come talk to Halbert Hargrove, and he introduced him to an advisor. And just time went on. My dad hired the firm. My mom and dad became clients. And I was so fascinated with finance. Like, you know my joke around here. I love finance. I just eat this stuff up. And so my dad would involve me, like ask me questions. Have you ever heard of this? Like things that he hadn't talked about. And eventually the advisor just came to him and was like, hey, do you mind if I have a conversation with your son? He sounds like he's interested in this business. And I remember the first conversation I had with him, I told him, I'm like, I don't want to be a broker. Like that was a hard no. Like my area of
What's wrong with being a broker?
Oh, don't even go there. I just didn't want to sell stuff for commission. Like that just didn't feel right to me. So like I didn't even know at the time what an RIA was. So believe it or not, like this business was not like something that was taught in school. It's not something people go to career fairs and find an RIA, you know?
Yeah.
So one of the things that like always like bothers me a little bit in this profession is that people feel like when they meet a financial advisor, that person's going to immediately sell them and tell them why they need advice. And the truth is, there's a lot of people out there that don't need a financial advisor. They love doing it on their own. They love being able to go on their computer every single day and spend the time on it. And there's a lot of free, if not low cost ways to do this if you're executing all those things on your own. But then there's a whole cohort of people out there that they have plenty of other things they'd rather be doing with their time, and they want to offload this stress, this worry to people like us. And that's just the nature of it. So when people say, why do people hire a financial advisor? I can do it myself. I'm like, great.
Go do it.
Go do it. Like, that's fine. I'm not here to tell you you're wrong. Like you're not right. You're not wrong. It's where your passion is and where you want to spend your time. And one of the things that, like I always tell people, it's like, if you can remember Halbert Hargrove, if you ever come to that need, like we're here, this is what we do for people. But if you want to do it on your own, spend the time to do it on your own. Like that's not what we're here for. What we're here for today is to try to break down some of the complicated topics of financial advice, or even spread it out and have guests that bring an expert opinion that we don't have onto this show. But today we're not here to sell anybody on Halbert Hargrove or our services. And we're really just here to open up the communication and the education here. One of the best things that I've seen over the last 19 years in this business alone is the level of advice that people have access to, or the level of education. I honestly think that it has brought some more stability to financial markets, meaning people behave a little bit more rationally. Not all the time, but for the most part, we kind of just went through this period where you saw people get spooked a little bit in April. But for the most part, the type of people that we advise were relatively stable, even if they were doing it on their own. Well, I mean, the firm started in an era where an RIA didn't exist. Like this was not the time when people came in and were like, hey, I can go on my phone and start investing my money through Fidelity or Schwab or any of these mobile app operators where you can buy stocks and bonds and all these types of securities. And so the people that founded this, they just wanted to invest their own money, and they didn't want to go to a brokerage firm to do it for them. So they started their own at literally the worst possible time in history, which was the Great Depression. They started this firm. And it ran that way for decades until Russ had the vision to switch it to a fee-only model. I started out as a client service manager here. I was doing paperwork. I learned how to fill out forms by hand, which nowadays you don't even have to do that. Physical paperwork.
Everything's digital now.
Everything's digital. Most of it's DocuSign now. So like that didn't exist. You used to have to fax stuff to people or get in front of them and have them pen sign. But that was the way I got started here. And then slowly but surely, I started taking on different responsibilities and ended up as the chief investment officer here.
There were steps before that, though. You were obviously, heavily involved in our investing, and then also an advisor. So, obviously you had many steps in your 19 years.
Oh yeah. It didn't just go like overnight happen. But I think what Russ noticed when the investment committee, the structure that he had in place, when I was at Northrop, I started learning to trade options, like call options, put options, and I started trading it as a hobby with a relatively low amount of money at the time because I came out of college like that way. And I liked it so much. And he's like, you seem like you have an interest in this. And, I started out just taking the minutes for the investment committee discussions here between him, Steve, and JC, and eventually that role started to evolve, doing some research for him and things like that. And then eventually I ended up taking over the all herd of 11 people now. So It's been fun.
Yeah, and I had the opposite. I had zero interest in investing. I think it's a joke around here that I definitely have zero desire to know anything about our investment process. Obviously, I've learned a little bit over the years. I still lean on Brian to help me with my personal things, but kind of evolved over the years in my role. I actually started out as a client service manager too and did it the first 16 years of my career. When I left for maternity leave with my second son, I was like, I'm not coming back to this job. So we need to find a replacement. Since my job had evolved so much, I focused on marketing the firm and taking us kind of to the more digital era and creating institutionalized processes for our service teams. We didn't have service teams when I first joined, so definitely that was where I left my mark. And my role is obviously still evolving. I focus more on growth and making sure that we take our next generation of advisors to the next level, and we keep growing the firm organically since we love our culture. We love the people that are here. That's what makes Halbert Hargrove special is we have a lot of people that stick around and stay to service clients and be friends with each other and see the success that we've kind of grown together.
I have to stop you though, because I was selfish when I was an advisor and you were my client service manager. Like I loved everything got done and I didn't have to ask. I was like, I want Kelly to stay put in her box forever.
Yeah. I did enjoy the client service job too. Getting to know clients on that level is so fun and creating those special memories and special relationships. And I did like checking the boxes and things like that. You know, as your role changes, you get to do less of that kind of checklist items. So focus more on the people at the firm. So
yeah, one of the things that like I hesitated towards when I came into this was if you walked up to somebody and they're like, so what do you do? And you're like, I'm a financial advisor. You notice they'd start like treading backwards. I hated that feeling.
Still happens.
Still happens. But I think, you know, this industry, just broadly speaking, a lot of bad things have happened to people. People have gotten taken advantage of because they just don't know what they're doing. And they trust somebody, and then next thing you know, that person's violated the trust and they don't even know it yet. They find out about it years later, things like that. And so we have like kind of a mission here to try to do right by the client and do it in their best interest. But it's still going to be a challenge because people there's still going to be bad actors out there. So, but that's one of the things that's been like the biggest challenge. The other thing that I wish I could take back, because you know when you wish something and it comes true. So when what was I, 27 when they let me, 27 years
when
old?
They let you.
when I started actually dealing with like going out and like servicing clients, like as a primary, not with the lead advisor there. I'd go home to my wife and be like, you know what? I need more gray hair. Like people just think I'm like this young kid, and it came in. And now I wish it went backwards.
You wish it was gone?
No, not gone. It's still there. It's just darker.
So we could talk about trust and financial advice for hours, but our producer's giving us the sign to wrap it up. So Brian, where can people follow us?
Deer in headlights. When did I become a marketing person?
Well, thank you for listening to the very first episode of Fearless Money Talks. If you haven't already, subscribe to the show so you don't miss another episode. And if you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, go check it out for more insights from Halbert Hargrove.